Good afternoon. My name is Leslie Leary, and I'm going to be going over my teacher interview review. During the interview, we discussed the student's behavior, what has worked and what hasn't, the interventions, then the other aspects such as parent involvement, the classroom expectations, and the culture in the classroom. So the student's behavior that is really targeted and looked at is pounding on the desk, antagonizing other students, making comments to them, and teasing other students, and just looking for ways to get other students really worked up. Work refusal, tends to argue with teachers about not needing to do the work or that he doesn't have to, or just absolutely refusing and putting his head down, or working himself up and yelling and being taken out of the class, which goes into the arguing. He will argue with the teacher and with other students when he doesn't want to do something. His triggers tend to be if he has a rough night or morning at home, whether it's him fighting with his brother, getting in trouble for something, not sleeping well. He will often come in and try to sleep or just be very on edge throughout the day. And if he does fall asleep, being asked to wake up if he falls asleep. He has a really difficult time getting involved in class, especially if he ends up falling asleep during the day. And then going from a preferred to a non-preferred activity. And lastly, being asked to do classwork in general. He will get argumentative and get up out of his seat and have some refusals and not wanting to do his classwork. So the interventions that have worked for him is providing a quiet area to work, having a calm down area where he can just go and use some of his coping skills that he has, and using sensory tools, reminding him to take deep breaths, to really focus on those deep breathing techniques, to be able to regain his self-control so that he can progress throughout the rest of his day successfully. And these interventions seem to decrease the negative behavior after the behavior has already occurred. What does not work is engaging more with him when he begins getting argumentative. It is better to offer a little bit of redirection and then actively ignore and send him to a quiet area. And then not giving him time to process. Overloading him will cause him to increase his negative behavior. And also keeping him in a classroom when he is starting to escalate and become argumentative tends to increase that behavior, and is when he starts antagonizing his peers and has potential to get into fights with his peers at that time. And so these definitely have the tendency to intensify the behavior. The reinforcers that seem to work for him are drawing, which is something he very much enjoys to do, and then playing games on the computer. The games on the computer are not allowed, and so the teacher at this point has really focused on the drawing aspect because it is something that he is very interested in and is motivated by. So it has been incorporated into his behavior plan. He still has a difficult time switching from drawing to classwork. And so the teacher's trying different strategies, like giving him like a 2-minute warning when it's time to start wrapping up his drawing to go into the next activity, to help him transition back and forth. And then it's looking at a if-then chart and then a visual timer to help him with those transitions. His significant needs behavioral teacher stated that the parents are aware of his behaviors at school, and the dad is the primary caregiver, as mom works at night. When the student's behavior changes or increases at home, and the dad thinks that it might affect him during his school day, he will let the teachers know, but it's very rare that he actually does. And as for the other involvement in the school, the parents attend the meetings, but don't have much more interaction at the schools other than the necessary meetings. The classroom expectations that are set out for the significant needs behavioral classroom is the teacher expects the students to work and complete their work and not have any missing assignments. If there are any missing assignments, she will keep them in at lunch and help them get caught up on their work. She also expects that the students will respect one another and the teacher and any other staff that is working with them throughout the day. And then she really focuses on and expects the student to take responsibility for their actions and really works on that accountability aspect. And also going in and apologizing if the student has acted poorly throughout the day or has been disruptive in a class in order to try to reconnect and work on those relationships, repair those relationships. She also has a culturally responsive classroom. And so at the beginning of the year, the teacher talks about respecting each other's differences and talking about how everybody's different and just really reviewing how it's important to appreciate everybody's differences. And then when cultural biases do arise in the classroom, the teacher reminds the students that everyone is unique and that everyone should be respected for their differences, which is not always easy for these students to do, but it is something that is talked about throughout the school year, throughout the school day sometimes. And then during downtime, where students are caught up on their work, the class works on social skills, and they discuss similarities and differences so that students can kind of start realizing and making those connections to, this student might look or dress differently than me, but we still have some of the same likes and dislikes, and or we have some differences, but that's still really cool, especially when they can connect on those similarities. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to know this student more through the observations and seeing how he progresses through the school year with the significant needs behavioral classroom support. Thank you.